Well, good day and welcome to Mental Health and You. I'm your host, Cynthia Timms. Well, beloved, as we close out another year and enter a new one, like always, it's a time, hopefully, of reflection for that which was and that which we hope will be. But of that word, hope, what does that mean to you? Is it just a four-letter word? And what is hope without gratitude? What is hope without faith? What is hope without working towards something? Before I bring on the guests, I want to share a story about peer support, about hope, about gratitude. Hopefully some of you will get it and understand. One day, there was a man who came into the office, a young man, and he spoke about wishing that he could not feel anymore. He said to me that he didn't want to feel anything, especially hurt or pain, because it was just too painful and too hurtful. In fact, he said, I didn't want to feel anything. Yes, he didn't want to feel anything because he didn't want to have to go through anything. I validated his concerns. I validated his feelings, for I know that feeling. And in looking for something wise to say, I replied that, okay, you may be going through, you don't want to go through anything. You don't want to go through any pain. You don't want to go through any hurt. You don't want to feel anything. But in that feeling anything, does that mean that you don't also want to feel that which make you feel good? What about those things that you're grateful for? I said. What about those things maybe you take for granted? You said you didn't want to feel anything. But yet, I know that you love certain things because you've talked about it. You like the water, how it makes you feel, the cool breezes. You like reading. You like a good meal. You like good conversation. You like conversation and talking with others. You like good movies. You don't want to feel that. You don't want to feel the emotion you feel in a poem. He looked at me. In that moment, he looked at me and I looked back, and there was tears in both our eyes. With that in mind, I want to bring on my guest, Nija Howard is a mental health counselor, an activist, and the founder of Young Men Strong, a nonprofit based here in New York City that aims to empower Black men. Welcome to Mental Health and You, Nija.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. Such a pleasure to be here once again.
You know,
Always a show.
thank you. I shared that story because in the midst of hope, I also want to talk about gratitude.
Mm.
Gratitude in the midst of a storm. What are you grateful for? I want to share that story, Nija, because I thought it was important, because I can understand that wanting to feel anything sometime. That one, because pain is so real. Pain hurts.
Yeah.
Whether it's the grief, whether it's you cut yourself, whether it's losing somebody. There's all types of cuts. There's all types of pain. And I can understand somebody just wanted to be cut off from that wanting to. But in the story that I shared, if you don't want to feel anything, what about those things that you do love, that you take for granted, that you and I were discussing? a conversation, a good meal. Your activist work, Niger. Niger, thank you for being part of Mental Health and You.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Cynthia. I
So I
love being
just
a part of mental health in you.
gratitude in the midst of a storm. What are you grateful for, Niger? As we close out a new year and go into close out another year and go into a new one, what are you grateful for?
I love that question. And as I prayed on it, and, we always, I wanted to make sure that this interview was provided substance.
Yes.
We think about the superficial things. Oh, I'm grateful for having a house. I'm grateful for having a
Mm,
car. I'm grateful for having these and things. And sure, those things are grateful for, but let's dig a little deeper.
mm.
And when I thought about it, I said, well, if I think about who I am today, I am living proof of all the pain and suffering and the grief and the loss that I've endured. And I've taken all of that, and instead of throwing it away, it mattered to me so much
Mm.
that I have turned it around. Instead of looking at anger, I have used it to be a service to society.
A service to society. Mentioned that you were the founder, a mental health counselor, you're an activist, you're the founder of Young Men Strong. What is Young Men Strong?
Young Men Strong is a nonprofit organization that provides encouragement, engagement, empowerment to young and adult men from ages 10 all the way to mature 80. And we provide services for those who have or are currently growing up in single parent households. And we offer them tools on vocational training, educational training, personal and professional development. So they could be wonderful assets in our community as well as in our home.
That's wonderful. And it's much needed.
Yeah,
And it's part of being grateful. It's part of gratitude. We
yeah,
talked about, in my introduction, we talked about gratitude in the midst of a storm. I want to call this episode Gratitude in the Midst of a Storm. To give
yeah,
to others is to show gratitude.
yeah,
To give of yourself is to show gratitude, even when you're not feeling okay.
absolutely.
Many
Absolutely.
times, Nigel, I can't even begin to tell you, sometimes I just didn't know if the work I was doing even mattered.
Yeah,
If I can share, sometimes I've sat here or I've sat at my desk on my job and it's like, oh, I'm with a patient somewhere, whether it's in a hospital or a residence or out in the street, am I making a difference?
hmm,
But
yeah,
when I turn that around, I'm thinking, maybe I am making a difference. And that's something to be grateful for. Why are you making a difference, Cynthia? Why do you think you're making a difference? Maybe in that moment, that young person, that old person, that middle-aged person, it seems like they needed something and I needed something. Maybe they
absolutely.
needed somebody to say that they mattered.
Yeah,
Maybe they needed somebody to hold their hand. Maybe they needed a cup of coffee that day. Maybe they needed somebody to say, I care for you. Your life matters.
absolutely.
And it seems to me in your work, it seems that's what you're doing as well.
Absolutely.
You know,
It's so funny, Cynthia. Whenever I would have those questions of
yeah,
doubt,
yeah,
like, am I doing enough? Am I giving enough? Um, Does the work that I do matter? Because we all go through those moments, especially when you are a professional in the human service world,
Yeah.
in social work, mental health work. It you do, peer advocacy. Whenever you're giving of yourself so much for others, you always wonder, am I doing enough? And the way that I would measure whether I was doing enough and if I was making an impact in the life of someone else is through the lens of other people
Mm-hmm.
and how they viewed me. So, for instance, one of my clients, because I'm a mental health professional and I oversee the substance abuse program over in supportive housing, one of my clients said to me, he had been estranged from his daughter for years. And as we're having a session, um, I encouraged him for the holidays to at least send a text message
Mm-hmm.
and just to say hello, just to let her know that he was still alive and well.
Mm-hmm.
And long story short, I go to pass his unit, his apartment, and he says to me, Miss Howard, I just need you to come inside for just a moment. He says, I just want to say thank you because I spoke to my daughter and her and I had a conversation. And then he did one of these numbers like, you got my heart, you know?
Yeah.
And that's how I measure the validity and the quality of service that I'm providing others, to so that I don't question whether I'm doing enough, but rather say, thank you, God, for giving me the ability to be of service to others, which quantifies me as doing enough. And so I want those who are ever questioning whether they're doing enough, look at those around you who you're impacting
Mm.
and be around individuals who don't have a problem expressing their gratitude. You know, I always call myself a problem solver. You want to be around people who, when you plant a seed, they're manifesting into a tree. And when you see that seed blossoming, that's your proof that you are doing something well. You are making it a strong impact,
You
you
said
know.
something, Nigel, when you're planting a seed, and that reminds me of the seeds that we plant every day, that we have the ability to plant every day in somebody's lives. Whether
Absolutely.
it's a seed of encouragement, a seed of love, a seed
Yes.
of hope, a seed of faith,
Yes.
that seed of like, yes, keep on going. I
Yeah.
believe in you when you don't even believe in yourself. Those
Yes.
seeds that we plant along the way, those seeds of gratitude,
Yes.
that we take for granted. I just can't, that we take for granted sometimes. We are both here today talking to each other and talking to the masses. That's gratitude.
Absolutely.
Somebody made it possible. Yes, I'm grateful to the Bronxnet staff, but I'm also grateful to a higher power.
But if I could also say, Cynthia, I want us to I want those who are listening
Yes,
to to be more mindful
yes,
of the little things that they think are little,
yes.
because we don't have to take things for granted.
Mm,
I appreciate the one-on-one conversations that Miss Cynthia Timms and I have offline,
mm-hmm.
just as valuable as much as I do having an interview on mental health and you and reaching the masses.
Yeah.
So no matter what role of how it may look, don't take any of it for granted. All of it matters,
Oh,
even
yes.
if you think it's little, you know. So I'm grateful for just the one-on-one conversations. I'm grateful for the fact that I get to wake up and just get to make breakfast for my family. I am grateful that I get to, um, you know, um, have a coat to put on, right? So it's when the weather, it's just that simple, that nothing is to be taken for granted. Everything that we do, everything that we say, everything that we feel, and how we show up it matters. Everything matters.
Yes. You're a woman of faith. What part did faith play in your gratitude? Does play in your gratitude?
Mm.
In the work you do and in your life outside?
Well, I mean, that's a big one. I don't know if we have time, but you know,
If 40 seconds are left, what's part? Tell me.
tell you. Well,
No, I'm
that's
messing. Go ahead.
that's a big one, Sid. But I have to say, being a woman of faith, a woman of God, God's child, um, when God has chosen you, all you have to do is be obedient, and He will make a way. And one thing about me is just like the Bible says,
Yeah.
faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. I didn't know what my tomorrow would be, but I knew if I was obedient today, that my tomorrow was guaranteed.
And what does that obedience look like to somebody who may not be familiar? What does obedience look like
Well, I'll
in that
tell you,
gratitude, in that walk with gratitude, in that walk with faith?
there's something special about having a level of discernment.
Mm.
When you when you just when God is speaking with you. You will know it because you don't hear nothing else. It's like a push that you have to do it. You must do it. There's no other thing that will get in the way. You have to do this. And when I started the journey of Young Men Strong,
Hmm.
I'll never forget in 2012, it was September of 2012 when
Hmm.
Trayvon Martin was murdered.
Yes.
And it was at that moment that I knew, as a mother to a brown son and as a community advocate for well over 20 years, I it was imperative that I do something to let our young boys and men know that they mattered. Now,
Mm.
I didn't know what that looked like. So
Yes.
what I did was I got on my knees and I prayed.
Mm.
And I said, God, use me. And the moment I said that, ooh, child, that opened up a whirlwind of stuff that I didn't know was gonna come my direction. But it also provided me the strength that I needed to be able to push through all of that.
The
And
strength you
if I
need.
didn't go through that, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Wow.
So what I encourage anybody who feels like what is that hope? How do I get faith? How do I get discernment? Follow the silence. And in that silence you will hear him. Because I literally said, God, use me. And when I did, it was like everybody I needed. He said, I need you. Before you start the organization, he put Thoughts Magazine in my spirit
Mm-hmm.
first.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I need you to create Thoughts Magazine, a publication specifically designed to educate, empower, and engage young and adult men of color.
Yes,
And,
indeed.
and I said, I don't know nothing about publishing. And he said, but obedience is greater than sacrifice.
Wow.
And I said, okay, I'm going to just do it. And every person I reached out to was exactly who I needed to bring the first issue of Thoughts magazine to life.
Oh, you.
And we've been publishing ever since. And from there, God said, "What is it that you want?" And I said, "I want young men to be strong, strong mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, financially, spiritually strong." And that's how Young Men Strong name came to be. It all just flowed. And
Yeah.
and all I can say is that it happened because the faith was there. I didn't know what my tomorrow was going to bring. I just had to be present for the moment.
It's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And you said something that really sparked a memory in me, sparked something. We talked about the pain of Trayvon Martin when he was murdered. And for me, I had talking about pain, not just my personal pain, pain of losing my parents at an early age, pain of losing other relatives, an aunt, losing my sister. You know, I also had to look through history. You're talking about learning something in silence. Also learn something just in history, studying history. It's these remarkable ancestors, Niger, that this, when I think about gratitude, that this here is a love story, it's a love letter to them. It's a
Yes.
love letter to my mother, who I'm grateful that put the love of words and of poetry in me, public speaking in me.
Yes.
Maya Angelou and Sonia Sanchez and Nikki Giovanni talking about our ancestors.
Yes.
I think about my love of studying the ancestors. I think about some of my heroes who I've spoken about on this show, the Harriet Tubmans, the Jonah Truce, the
Mhm.
Shirley Chisholm, Ella Baker, Maya Angelou, Nikki Giovanni, some who are still alive. Sonia Sanchez is still with us.
Nikki too.
No,
Yeah.
Nikki passed away 2024.
Get out of
Yes,
here.
we'll talk, yes. Miss Giovanni, she passed away 2000. I thought you knew.
I did not know.
So this here is a love, Ella Bates, who was one of the architects of the Little Rock Nine. She was a journalist. I talked about a lot of these women. Fannie Lou Hamer. Oh my God, the Mississippi Freedom Movement. All of these heroes, Frederick Douglass, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all of these people sitting at the table around me.
Mm.
Every time I get depressed, Niger, every time I get anxious, every time I get sad, I wonder about. This is, I have to think back to all these people who dealt with things much worse than us. This here is a love letter to them.
I love that.
This here is a love letter. I am the product, and you are the product of some strong people who
Yes.
persevered, who had faith, who had hope. They keep going even in the midst of so much pain in your face, the type we're seeing almost today again.
Yeah.
So this here is a love letter. When I'm feeling like lost for words, or if I'm with a patient, or I'm feeling lost for words, I think about a poem. I think about a saying.
Yeah.
Frederick Douglass, Maya Angelou, still I rise. After you cut me with your eyes, after you do all of this, here I am, and still I rise.
Yes.
So this here is a love letter,
I love it.
and that is what I'm grateful in the midst of a storm. What are you grateful for, people? We
Yes.
talked about the small things, but they're not so small. You woke up today. You're witnessing. You're a witness to history. You're part of history. Your faith, the ancestors are depending on you.
Yeah.
Nigel, how can people get in touch with Young Men Strong?
They can reach out to Young Men Strong by going to youngmenstrong@gmail.com, youngmenstrong.org, or they can even reach out to our hotline of 929-260-4970. Again, that's 929-260-4970.
Yes. What do you, as you know, as I said, this show will air at the start of the new year. What is your hopes for the new year?
Well, I wanted to congratulate you for a moment before I go into what my hopes are. Thank you for just being obedient and turning your pain into purpose.
Mm,
There's nothing like writing a love letter to those um, who loved you
yeah.
unconditionally, and there's something special. And I want to encourage all those who are listening, keep holding on, because instead of retreating after tragedy
Mm-hmm.
and loss,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Which is
find
natural to do. You know, there's a time for crying, there's a time for mourning, there's a time
yes,
for grief. But
there's a time for it.
there's some dark clouds. We're going to have this. Let's not be, let's not fool ourselves. There's going to be some dark days ahead.
Yes,
There's going to be some dark clouds.
yes,
People are suffering, Niger. People are
yes.
suffering. People are about to lose their homes. There's people about to lose their insurances. People
People
about the
have
verge
lost.
of losing their jobs.
Yes,
They don't know
yes,
whether they can put food on the table. They don't know whether they'll be able to keep the lights on.
yes.
People going to ask you in the midst of all of that, what am I to be grateful for? In 40 seconds, what should they be grateful for?
You get a chance to do it again.
You
You
get a
get a
chance to
chance.
do it again.
You get a chance to do it again.
You hear that, people? Gratitude in the midst of a storm. I want to thank Bronxnet and its staff for this ongoing experience in mental health and wellness. I want to thank Nigel Howard, the founder of Young Men Strong, for being a part of this.
Thank you.
Be grateful. I'm grateful for you. Thank you, beloved, for your time. Stay woke. For mental health and you, thank you.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff,
Mama?
like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.